I'm back today with Justin of Homestead Refuge, and we are ready to give the results of our comparison of Swarm Commander versus lemongrass oil. We set up 4 swarm traps here on Justin's property, and I want to talk just a little bit about how we set this experiment up. The 4 traps that we hung in a rough rectangle. The trees that we hung the swarm traps on are roughly about 40 yards apart end to end on our rough rectangle, and about 15 to 20 yards side to side. Each of the trees is fairly nice and straight. Each of the trees isn't surrounded by a bunch of brush, and they sit in a valley here on Justin's property with a tree line on each side. Each of the swarm traps that we hung contains 1 frame of old brood comb, and the rest of the frames just have starter strips that are basically craft sticks stuck in the top of the frame. We hung each trap at about the same height, about 10 to 12 feet high, and each trap is hung facing southeast. We tried to make as much as possible consistent with these swarm traps. The only thing we did different is how we baited them. 2 of the swarm traps on opposite corners were baited with lemongrass oil, and 2 of them on the other opposite corners were baited using the Swarm Commander crush tubes. Justin, tell us a little bit about the traffic that you've seen over the past few weeks at the bait hives.
Yeah, probably starting about a month ago, all the hives started to have some scouts, and then probably in the last 2 weeks, really there's been a lot of traffic at 2 of the hives, and those are the traps that we're taking down today.
So I came today, we're going to pick up these swarm traps. I'm going to take them home with me. Any forager bees from those swarm traps are now oriented to the trees where the swarm trap was hanging. So by taking them away from here, and the general rule of thumb is when you move a hive, you want to move it 3 feet where the bees will be able to find it quickly, or at least 3 miles where the bees aren't going to return to the original location. In this case, we're moving more than 3 miles, so the bees are not going to be returning here. They will reorient to my yard when I set the bees there. And then in a couple weeks, I'll be bringing those same colonies back, and we'll install those into Justin's hive. And we'll get that on video to show that installation process. Like Justin said, the bees were checking out all 4 traps. We were just waiting to see which they would choose to move into. And the 2 traps that they moved into are both the traps that are baited with Swarm Commander. So it looks, Justin, like we had a clear winner in this contest.
Yeah, that was pretty evident of which ones they chose to stay in.
I've used lemongrass oil for the last few years. I've had good success with lemongrass oil, and a lot of people have too. It looks like in a side-to-side comparison, when bees are looking for a home, they tend to lean towards the Swarm Commander. Justin came last night and brought the bait hives down to the ground, so I don't have to get up on a ladder to take those bait hives down today. And when he did this, he noticed a few things about the hanger system and getting those hives down that might be useful for others as they retrieve their swarm traps. So Justin, tell us about your experience taking down those swarm traps.
Yeah, I thought just with the hanger system it was nice. The bar, the one was a little bit tight, but I think we've kind of worked out, you know, just the placement of the hanger and just making sure that that's parallel and spaced out enough. The bungee was easy to take off. The one thing I did have not so much a problem with, but it was a little bit more difficult. It seemed like they were just kind of really stuck on there. I don't know if it's because of the fresh paint kind of made the hanger, the cleats kind of stick together a little bit. If I would have had a hive tool with me or something, I think I could have pried them apart a lot easier, but I had to kind of just pop the bottom of the traps while I'm standing on a ladder. I didn't want to jostle the bees too much, and so trying to be gentle but firm enough to get it to kind of pop off of there. Besides that, it was easy just to lift them off and then just take them down the ladder.
If you are using one of my swarm traps with the cleat system or made your own hanger cleat system, that may be something that you can prepare for if you're taking yours down, is that those cleats might kind of stick together. And whether, like Justin said, it's because these happen to have fairly fresh paint that stuck together, or whether it's because they kind of got damp and just kind of stuck together, either way, that may be something that you can be prepared for when you go to take down your own bait hives. And like Justin mentioned, if you take a hive tool, maybe wedge between those French cleats and just kind of pop them apart, that may help a lot and not have to jostle the box as much to knock those apart. So just something to consider there. But otherwise, it was fairly easy taking it down.
Oh yeah, I mean, came down right before dark. I had a headlamp on, but you know, there's a couple bees still flying around on the one trap. I tried to make sure they kind of either made it in or got out of the way. Just closed it up and then walked them down the ladder, no problem.
This has been a very successful experiment. We learned something. Justin caught 2 colonies, so that's great. Now he'll be populating his own hives that you're still in the process of building right now.
Yeah,
so.
Got to finish those still.
So we'll get those bees set up here. I hope you found this video and this comparison of swarm lures interesting and informational. And if you did, you might also be interested in this video that Google thinks you're going to like. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time.